If you have wanted to quit drinking for a long time, but just have never pulled the trigger on doing it, or maybe you've gone sober for 3 days and then given up, or 1 week and then given up, this episode is for you. I'm going to give you the 5 life-changing tools that helped me finally get sober and stick with it once and for all. These tips are to help you just get through those early days and hopefully make it as easy on yourself as humanly possible. So let's get right into it, and I'm going to start with a fun one. One of my top tips for sobriety is to stock your fridge with non-alcoholic drinks. And I am talking make the entire thing look like a vending machine. When people come over to my house, they're always in awe of my fridge because I have it lined up like a vending machine with all my different options. It's diet sodas, it's my Wild Wonder drinks, which are these amazing gut health drinks that are sort of like a soda alternative also. I have protein shakes, I have coffee drinks, I have teas, I have sparkling waters of so many different flavors, I have sparkling ice drinks, I have so many different options. And the reason I recommend doing this is because, first of all, there's an aspect of muscle memory with sobriety, or with drinking, I guess. So for me, every time I walked into the kitchen, I was thinking about grabbing a drink. I opened the fridge and my mind was just like muscle memory grabbing a drink. And so having stuff stocked in there that you can just grab and go is amazing. And it kind of feeds into that muscle memory of going to the fridge and grabbing a drink. Also, we used to really enjoy booze, right? We would look forward to our drinks, we'd crack into it, it gives us that dopamine hit, that satisfaction. And when we are sober and open the fridge and still have something fun to look forward to, it sort of gives that same dopamine hit. You have a choice, you get to select something, you get to have fun with your drink. It's not just water. I think sometimes people get intimidated by sobriety because they're like, what am I going to drink? Just water, soda, boring. There are so many fun drinks. I also have a lot of adaptogen drinks in my fridge, which honestly got me through the beginning of my sobriety. They are these drinks designed to help you chill out. They have ashwagandha, magnesium, functional botanicals to help you chill and just kind of turn off your mind when sometimes the mind can be so restless and hyperactive in early sobriety. So I definitely recommend stocking your fridge. And if you want more details on this, I have an entire episode dedicated to my favorite non-alcoholic drinks. So make sure to tune into that. But to get you started, I will rattle off a few. For the adaptogen drink category, my favorites are Recess, Hi-Yo, Desoy, or Desoy, however you pronounce it, and Silly Goose. Those are my favorites at the moment. And then outside of that, I drink a lot of Diet Root Beer, Diet Dr. Pepper, and then a new favorite of mine is Wild Wonder, because obviously soda's not that great for you. I'm trying to move away from it as much as I can, and Wild Wonder is kind of like a healthy soda. It has prebiotics and probiotics and fiber, so it's good for your gut, and they taste absolutely amazing. Highly, highly recommend. You can get them at Whole Foods, Target, Amazon. I'm obsessed. Other than that, I also get a lot of the Liquid Death drinks. They have sparkling waters. They have drinks that are supposed to taste like Dr. Pepper that are healthier. I love sparkling ice drinks. Oh my God, I could go on forever and ever and ever. I don't want to bore you with this. So moving right along to my next tip. My next tip is to determine your why. And I'm not talking about your why for why you're getting sober. That's probably pretty obvious and in the forefront of your mind. It's important to think about that for sure, but I think we all probably know what that is. I know I did. But the why that I'm talking about is why you drank in the way you did. Why did you get to the point you did with your alcohol? Was it a traumatic event? Was it a job that you had that you hated? Was it a relationship? Some sort of, trauma or bad situation you went through? What led you to the point that you were with your drinking. Maybe it was even just pressure to go out partying, whatever. Whatever made you drink in the way you did, that is what we need to work on healing. So for me, it was a mix of a really toxic relationship and an injury that left me kind of bedridden for a long time. And those two things just got me to a really bad place with my drinking. And COVID also didn't help. So let's throw that in the mix as well. So I started healing from that toxic relationship. I left, for one, but I read a lot of books about narcissism, about healing from those types of relationships. I learned about, control and manipulation, and I watched YouTube videos, read books. I would recommend to other people to go to therapy, which I did not do. Sometimes I think I still should. But however you do it, we want to work through that trauma, that toxicity that we may have lived through. And once we heal the things that made us drink in that way, the desire to drink melts away, because we're building a life that we do not need to drink in order to survive, if that makes sense. So the injury as well, like I started doing physical therapy and really healing and trying to get my life back so that I didn't feel depressed and just handcuffed to the couch, basically, like with nowhere to go and nothing to do other than just drink. So as I started to heal those things that were causing me to drink so heavily, my desire to drink started to melt away. And that is when sobriety starts to feel easier. Because imagine if you still have that trauma in your life, you still have that toxicity, whatever it may be, and you have to continue to just live through that, but all of a sudden you take away your coping mechanism. I mean, that would be really, really hard. That would be super hard. So we have to work on healing the stuff that makes us want to drink in the first place. And that is huge. I don't have good willpower. I'm not good at telling myself no. I think I learned that through my drinking problem. I'm getting better at like impulse control and thinking about things before I do them. But all in all, that's not one of my best qualities, okay? I'm not good at restricting and saying no. So if I had to tell myself every single day, like continue to say no to alcohol every single day, that would be exhausting. I had to find a way to not want alcohol as much, to build a life where I didn't need alcohol to get through it. My third tip is to find community. Here on the Sober Scoop, we have a community of our own. It's called the Scoop Troop, and it's on Facebook. If you want to join, the link is in the description. And our community is one where we can connect with each other, we can share our wins, we can share our struggles, we can share progress photos, we can celebrate together, we can be frustrated together. Like any unique situation that you feel like you've been through where you're like, nobody else would get me, I swear you put it in that group and 3 people are like, oh my God, that same thing happened to me. It's crazy, and it just makes you feel so much less alone on this journey. So whether you join our group or you go to AA or you do Smart Recovery or you join some sort of a community, I think that's really valuable. When I first got sober, I wasn't ready to talk about it with real people. So online communities are what I turned to. I started following sober creators online. I started listening to sobriety podcasts. I joined online communities, and now I've built my own called the Scoop Troop on Facebook. So if you want to join that, the link is in the description. But as far as real life connection, I had such amazing people on my side. Like my family has always been and will always be on my side, which I'm so grateful for, and I'm so blessed to have that. But the thing is, I don't think people can fully get it if they have not had a drinking problem and lived through sobriety themselves. It's just really hard to understand. And I think in my experience, connecting with one person who has also gotten sober and has been sober longer than you is so valuable. because you can ask about the nitty-gritty things, like, why am I feeling this way, that way? Why am I emotional today? Why am I having this horrible craving right now? Why do I wake up every morning and still think about alcohol? Like, you can ask this person who's been through it and they're just a little bit further along than you. And whether it's someone you're really, really close to, or maybe just an acquaintance who you kind of connect with because you look up to them for their sobriety, I think it's really, really valuable. And again, I didn't meet my person in person. I just texted with them. I believe in AA, they call this a sponsor. I didn't do AA and I'm not super familiar with it, but I think that what I'm saying is very similar to what they're saying. Like, find somebody who's just been doing it a little bit longer than you and have them at the ready to text or whatever, to ask them just, those specific questions that you feel like nobody else would get except this person. So that is what I have to say on community. Okay, this next tip, number 4, is something that I think is a little bit more mental and will just help you, like, mentally through early sobriety. I would recommend that you have an answer prepared for why you're not drinking. Because in the beginning, let's face it, you used to drink all the time. You were probably the one drinking the most at the party. You may have been the one encouraging other people to drink, like, oh, let's have another round, let's do a shot, whatever. Like, now all of a sudden you're not that person. You're saying, oh, I'm not drinking. And people are really confused and they're going to inquire. In my experience, everyone asked. I mean, of course they're curious. It's such a 180 from the person I used to be. So I always recommend just having a couple phrases in your back pocket ready to go for why you're not drinking or why you quit drinking. And this is going to be different for everybody. You're going to have to find a phrase that works well for you. For starters, I think it's a good move to say, I don't drink. Not, I'm taking a break. Not, oh, I'm not feeling it tonight, whatever. I think saying, I don't drink or I quit drinking or something like that is almost just like that. It's a strong verbal commitment that people aren't going to mess with. It's not like, oh, I'm taking a break tonight and people have the ability to say, oh, come on, just have one. It's my birthday. Oh, why not this? Oh, just have one beer, whatever. Like peer pressure. If you say, I quit drinking or I don't drink, those are more definitive statements. And I feel like people can't mess with you as much. It's definitive. It's clear. You can't be tempted. You can't be pushed or swayed to drink. So I think having a strong answer like that or a strong statement like that is important. So I don't drink. But then people are going to be like, why don't you drink? Or why did you quit? Or whatever. It will happen. And I wish it didn't. I wish people could just be like, oh, okay, cool. But people are going to inquire. So a couple of phrases that I liked to use in the beginning were, you could say, I tried dry January and I really liked it, so I'm going to give sobriety a go. Or you could say, I was not reaching my physical or financial goals, and so I quit alcohol because it was not positively contributing to my goals. You could say, my health and wellness are my top priority, and alcohol just doesn't fit into those goals. You could say, I was headed down a bad path with alcohol and I wanted to nip it in the bud before it got too bad. There are a lot of different things you could say. So think about that and formulate a sentence or two that just, I don't want to say explains yourself. Like, you don't have to explain yourself, of course, but a phrase that makes you feel comfortable, that makes you feel like your answer is clear, maybe something that doesn't open things up for a lot of follow-up questions if you're not comfortable talking about it yet. You just kind of want to try a few things and see what feels really right for you. But my tip is to have something prepared because people are going to ask. And I think the only time that I would feel self-conscious about my sobriety, or like almost that did I make the right choice? Kind of second guessing myself. The only time that would happen is when somebody asks me why I'm not drinking, and I'm like, well, I don't know. And they say something convincing like, I don't get why one glass of wine, that's not going to ruin your fitness goals or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But I didn't really, you're hamana, can't come up with anything. That is when I felt self-conscious about myself, or like I was making the wrong decision. And we do not want that. We want to feel empowered in sobriety. You're doing something so good for yourself, for your future, for your health. Like, you should feel so good about that. And I hated that when people would ask questions, I would feel bad about myself. I would feel ostracized. I would feel like, the odd man out. I just really hated feeling so self-conscious about something that I was so proud and excited to be doing. So if you have a phrase ready to go, it will help prevent a lot of that awkwardness or that feeling of second guessing yourself. You have a strong, clear sentence ready to go that kind of shuts down the conversation and that makes you feel really comfortable and confident. Prepare that for yourself. And hopefully you will only feel empowered and confident in your decision to quit drinking. And my fifth tip and my last tip is to identify as a non-drinker. You are no longer somebody who drinks, and you have to just start taking on that identity. I think that really helps with when you are having a craving or a temptation in a social situation or by yourself, and you're kind of faced with that, like, should I drink? Should I not? When you identify as a non-drinker, like you do not drink, you don't even have the choice. And it's actually quite freeing. This is why I don't believe that trying to moderate is a good strategy, because alcohol is actually always going to be on the mind when you're moderating. You're constantly thinking, could I have this? Could I have just one? Could I drink today and not tomorrow? Should I drink today? When could I start drinking? Where can I get my next drink? It is truly exhausting, and the mental gymnastics will just drain you. Quitting 100% is so freeing mentally. And that's why I say, just become a non-drinker. Take on that identity. So you're that old self who drank all the time, who would always have a drink at home, who drank a lot at events, whatever, that person is gone, okay? You are now sober. You don't drink. And so sober people, they don't decide every day if they're drinking or not. It is a no every single time, to the point that they don't even have to consider it. It's kind of backwards in our head because we think that it'd be easier to hold on to any ounce of drinking that we could. Like, that's why moderating is appealing, right? Cutting back on your drinking must be easier than quitting 100%. Absolutely not true. Quitting 100% is so liberating. It relieves you of the stress of having to decide if you're drinking or not. There's no decision to be made. You don't even have to think about it. It's just always going to be a no. And in my sobriety now, I've been sober for 592 days. I checked earlier today. And I wouldn't say I have cravings necessarily, but there are moments that I think about where I'm like, oh, I would have had a drink in this situation. And the mentality around that feeling is not, should I drink? Like, should I actually take action and crack into that drink? That is just never a thought in my head, ever. It's always just like, oh, interesting. I would have drank in that situation. I'm gonna log that mentally and just remember that this is kind of a triggering situation a little bit for me. I think about alcohol a little bit more in this type of situation. And I look at it as a growing moment. I am building my sobriety toolbox and I learn from it. It's not like I'm actually going to crack into the drink. That's absolutely not an option. So even though I've had a craving or something, it's a no. It's actually not even a question. It's just, Okay, that was a thought. Brush it away. You know what I mean? When you are sober, when you are a non-drinker and you take on that identity, you are relieving yourself of the decision making. There is no to drink or not to drink. It's just not even a thought that will cross your mind because it is a no 100% of the time. I hope that you find peace in that because it is very freeing. It feels so good. And the alcohol noise starts to quiet, which is the best feeling ever. I'll never forget. I don't know why. I think it's because I took a video in this moment, so I just remember it really well because I've looked back at that video. But I was in the Starbucks drive-thru, and it was almost like I had this epiphany. I just felt that alcohol was not on my mind, which was crazy because alcohol was the first thing I thought of every single day when I woke up. Whenever I woke up, I instantly thought about how many drinks I had the day before. I'd start from the morning all the way till the night, counting exactly how many I had and trying to estimate. And then I'd walk into my living room and I'd be cleaning up all the beer cans that I had left around, cleaning out the shower beers or the two by my bedstand or whatever, just living in this regret and this heaviness. And then I'd think, oh, should I have a morning drink? Do I have a meeting coming up? Alcohol was immediately on my mind when I woke up, and it was so exhausting. It makes me really sad to think about it because that's just torturous to live that way. And like I said, eventually you kind of reach this point where you're like, oh, the alcohol noise has quieted. And your mind actually frees up for so much more beautiful things. There are so many cooler, better things to fill our thoughts with than alcohol. And imagine all that you can do in the morning, all that you can think about, all that you can just fill your energy with in the morning other than alcohol. There's so much. So identifying as a non-drinker hopefully will free you from all that awful alcohol noise that we're all too familiar with. I'm going to throw in a number 6, actually. So another thing that I recommend is, I say specifically find something to do with your hands because I just did a puzzle last night and I was reminded at how helpful that is in early sobriety. But it could be any hobby. I also love to pop in a podcast and go take a walk. I love to do workout classes. So there are lots of things you could do, but doing something with your hands specifically is healing in a way I cannot even describe. Because in the beginning of sobriety, I had so much hyperactivity going on in my brain. I was so restless. It was like I wanted to relax, but I had no capability to relax. I had to be doing something all the time. And I knew somewhere deep down that it was only temporary, so I tried to just embrace it. And I was honestly really, really productive in the beginning of my sobriety. So I recommend channeling all of that restlessness and hyperactivity out of your brain and into your fingertips. Find something to do with your hands. When I got sober, I started a side business of creating balloon arches and balloon decorations. And that repetitive motion of blowing up balloons with my machine, tying them together and forming this piece of art basically was really healing for me. Like I said, in a way I didn't even realize back then, but it truly was. And I almost became addicted to doing them, where I would do them for fun even when I didn't have a client, which is kind of crazy. But you could find other hobbies like knitting or Legos or puzzles, which is what I did last night. And last night I was struggling a little bit, if I'm being honest. I wanted to relax. It was Sunday and I just wanted to chill. It's my day off. I want to relax. I was so exhausted from the week. I knew I needed to relax, but sometimes I feel that I'm almost incapable of relaxing. And so in order to relax, I put on the show that I wanted to watch, that I kept getting distracted from and going on my phone and doing things in between, doing chores in between. I couldn't focus on this show that I actually really wanted to watch and really wanted to dive into. So I got a puzzle, a 500-piece puzzle, and I sat there and I watched the entire season of this show. I watched Cruel Summer. So I watched whatever it was, 9 episodes straight, which is insane. Don't make fun of me. But the only way I was going to be able to do that was with that puzzle. So I actually completed the 500-piece puzzle in one night, which I feel like is kind of crazy, especially for a new puzzler. But it was something about like focusing on the puzzle and doing that with my hands while watching the show that made me able to actually relax and watch the show. And I imagine it would be a similar feeling if you were just kind of knitting while you're watching a movie or watching a show or something. I think finding a task or hobby, something to do with your hands, is so valuable. It could be a coloring book. It could be chores, but you can only clean so much. I remember when I first got sober, I did a ton of yard work. I did housework. I cleaned. I just moved into a place, so I was like building IKEA furniture, which I love to do. I was building stuff from Wayfair and Amazon, and I loved it. I was painting. I just had so much to do, but eventually you run out of stuff to do. So that's when a hobby comes into play. And sometimes it feels super corny. Like last night, I was like, am I really about to get in the car and drive to Target to get a puzzle? Yes, I am, because it is so helpful. And oh my gosh, I'm just looking at my puzzle from a distance, and it's a 300-piece puzzle, not a 500-piece puzzle. So I take that back. 500 may have been a little crazy for one night, but I completed a 300-piece puzzle in one night. Anyway, so find something to do with your hands. Eventually, on the grander scale, I would say find some hobbies that you enjoy. Sign up for a league, maybe a book club, go on walks, take a cooking class, language class, whatever. I would say these bigger things. But in the beginning, you don't have to do anything crazy, okay? You're already getting sober. You don't have to go nuts. If you want to go nuts, go nuts. But I think on a small scale, just something easy and achievable, it would be to find something to do with your hands. Puzzles, coloring books, knitting, Legos, those types of things. And thank me later, because when you channel your hyperactivity into that task with your hands, it just shuts off your brain. It is amazing. I forgot what a wonderful tactic that is until last night when I was doing this puzzle. And I'm like, oh my God, I forgot how amazing this is. So highly recommend. And with that said, I hope you have enjoyed today's episode and been able to pull a few things from it. If you have been here for a while, then I'm sorry if this seemed a little bit redundant. I talk about these tips a lot because they work. They worked for me really, really well. And I hope and pray that they work for you too. Because like if I had this experience, they say hindsight is 20/20. If I had known this stuff before I had started my journey, I just think it would have been a lot smoother. So if I can provide that for you before you start on your sober journey, then that's my mission complete. So thank you for listening, and I will see you for the next episode. If you are new here, we release episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. And if you are watching on YouTube, thank you so much for tuning in. I have just launched a brand new YouTube channel. So if you feel like watching the episodes, you can totally tune in on YouTube. The channel is The Sober Scoop. I am starting from square one, a fresh channel. I just want a space for these videos to live online that are not like mixed with kind of the other stuff that I do in the health and wellness space. So I'm starting a brand new channel just for The Sober Scoop. So if you ever want to watch these podcast episodes in a video format, I'll leave the link in the description. If you are here watching it on YouTube, then hello. Thank you for being here. Make sure to subscribe, follow, whatever. And thank you again. I'm just so grateful for this community and wishing you all the absolute best wherever you are on your sober journey, whether you're on day 1 or day 1000 and beyond. Thanks for listening. Bye.